Hello dear viewer, welcome to KSP Contracting episode 14, where we, well, as always, fast forward time and fly some spacecraft and of course find asteroids. Let's do the asteroid thing first this time around. It's going to be this one, a Class C rock, track that, and well, it's going to come within 36,000 kilometers. Wonderful. Let's have a quick scan over the asteroids that we are already tracking, if any of them are predicted to cause trouble in the next 30 days. Do we need to do some scrambling mission? It so far doesn't seem like it. Asteroids, this is still lots of days away. This one here is already captured. Look at that, we did that wonderfully. And this one is not going to be a problem. This is the one we just tracked, so no to that. In the YouTube comments of the last episode, my viewers have alerted me to the fact that the Duna launch window is basically now, and our combined Duna craft is not yet ready, so that will have to be delayed, unfortunately, as we cannot rush our engineers any faster. So let's fast forward these days. The launch window is slipping away, and then we can have a look at what we are going to launch right now. Day 390 in the Cribble year, which I think numbers some 460 days. In randomly assorted other news, Nathan pointed out that in yesterday's episode my asteroid intercept maneuver, while convenient, was not very efficient. The two components, the apoapsis raising and the plane change, both have to be done. But whereas the apoapsis raising will cost the same amount of fuel regardless of the plane that you're doing it in, the plane change maneuver costs drastically less fuel dependent on the altitude and this orbital speed that you do it in. So it would have been much more efficient to do the apoapsis raising first and then the plane change, which I did not do. So thanks for pointing that out, and may it help you in all of your asteroid rendezvousing endeavors. So today, what are we going to do? We are going to launch Nathan's vessel that was called the... It had a crazy and fun name. The Angora something. I think I put it in here. I can't find it, so let me just Alt tab out of this and have a look. Be right back. So there we go. I had seen the link but had not in fact loaded it into the folder. Nathan apparently submitted this several episodes ago, but I missed it. And this is part of the multiple contractor combined launch orbital rendezvous and assembly vehicle to go to Duna. And here we have that. It is a wondrous contraption is all I can call that. It has... Are these jet engines or just air intakes? I have absolutely no idea what this is going to do. We have rocket engines here. Do we even have jet engines on this? Or are these intakes just for aesthetic purposes? Anyway, we're going to launch it and we'll find out promptly what it is about. You will notice that the frame rate is fairly low. It shouldn't be. I don't know what is causing it to be so low, but I've stopped caring because I have almost all the stuff of my new computer sitting around me here in my game room office hideout. One problem is that they sent everything but the video card and the CPU cooler, so I have everything I need to build a working computer but the cooling. Yeah, so that doesn't work. Apparently a boxed CPU does not mean that they give you a cooler with it anymore, at least Intel doesn't. I gave the shop a call and they were like, oh, well, we thought there'd be a cooler. No worry, we will add a cooler with your video card. So that was very nice of them, but now it does mean that I have to wait a little bit more. I am going to time warp until dawn so we can have a daytime launch, which is of course much better. And while we do that, yeah, I can inform you it's my birthday today. Not today as in when you're watching the video, but when I'm recording it, that is Friday. So that was actually mentioned in the description of last video, but I won't blame you if you didn't see that. I'm just taking a little bit of time to provide entertainment for you guys, and then I'm going to probably continue sleeping and relaxing, not being sick anymore. I was quite ill last week, and it's really nice to not be that anymore. Right, so let's move on to the launch. This will surely be an interesting adventure. And hey, look at that. I didn't pay attention to the crew, so that means Jebediah is coming along to Duna, for better or worse. He landed safely and now he's back in the seat right away. Again, you just can't keep this man away from space. And there we go. Wow, and it's a light show as well as a rocket spectacle. Let's see if we can toggle that off and on. This is nice. Everyone's going crazy abusing those lights. I like it. And ooh, what is this? These are more engines. This is a big engine cluster on the bottom of this. Wow, that is rather amazing. What is going to happen? The first thing that's going to happen is that these outer tanks are going to be shot away, and then that will probably repeat, and then we get the center engine cluster. It's a nicely inventive launch vehicle that I've not seen before. The Angora Avenger by Nathan. It looks quite spiffy. I'm not going to try and steer it too much because it has lots of wings and control surfaces, and even though we don't have Ferrum Aerospace to worry about, this could still get unstable rather quickly, I think. So I'm going to go straight up until like 15 kilometers or something like that, and then start to try and pitch over. This is of course the ship that we are heading to, which is the assembled, well, the part assembled Duna Endeavour. So coming up on first booster separation, and after that I'm going to continue the launch in accelerated fashion as I did with the last episode. I thought that worked out quite well. So there we go, those things, bye bye boosters. And now we basically just wait until we can ditch the next set of boosters and do our pitch over maneuver. There we go, the boosters aided by Separatrons, which is a nice touch indeed. And we are going to wrench this craft around. Now let's have a look. Are these outer engines actually firing? Yes, they are. You just need a second to, well, build up the thrust. Oh, look at that. This is nifty. These are thrust limited and these are not. And I don't know why. Is it just for fanciness sake, or is there a reason that the, I don't know, they have maybe been burning all the time, maybe there were overheating problems. Anyway, this is a, how many engines are this? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it's a 9 engine cluster, very reminiscent of the proposed SpaceX Merlin engine cluster that has 9 engines as well in a block formation. And I'm gonna go with that. Probably the center one might overheat if the outer ones are burning at full thrust, or maybe it's just for niftiness sake. That does it for me also. So very nicely done. I like this engine cluster. Interestingly enough, the SpaceX launch, I don't know which one, but one of them had some engine failures. The center one basically exploded, and that was fine, doesn't matter. That's the advantage of having a multi-small engine cluster. You can have engine problems and not lose your mission. Because you can imagine, if we lose one engine, the effect would basically be, apart from the explosion, of throttling down a bit. And, well, apart from very, very specific flight profiles, that's not really a problem. You lose a little bit of efficiency, but you can still basically make up by burning your other engines for longer. So that is nice. Well, the accelerated takeoff videography idea that I had is basically shot to pieces because I couldn't resist talking over everything. We are anyway about in orbit, about 40 kilometers up. Maybe my pitch over was a little bit too aggressive, but then again the air is rather shallow at this distance, at this altitude, and I imagine that this has the fuel to get into a neat orbit. At least I'm assuming that this is the rendezvous and docking tug, and this is the actual payload. Don't know why there is air intakes there. Maybe we could have closed them to like make less drag, but I have no idea how they work, so yeah. Okay, so we have stage burnout. Here we still get some, is this Mach effects? No, this is lighting effects. I thought we were getting some supersonic airflow, but that's just the lighting. Right, separating that and proceeding with the mission with our orbital stage. And I hope it didn't botch that trajectory too much. I mean, I'm assuming that there's not too much air drag at 53 kilometers and climbing. Oh, that should be fine. What am I fussing about? It's a very neatly designed craft. Not sure if it's the most efficient way to put this into orbit, but the whole throttle down center stage with a block of 9 engines, I like that a lot. So let's now fast forward to the point where we actually reach orbit, and let's do so now. So here we are finalizing the orbit maneuver. Hey, look at that, the center engine is going to run out of fuel before the side ones. These fuel lines should be connected, no? I think so. Anyway, we are in orbit. Don't know why that's happening. Maybe it's just a readout stranginess. Stranginess, that's a nice word. Anyway, let's have a look at our rendezvous. I made a 1.3 angle deviation. That's not very neat at all. Means I didn't do a very good job of ascending. Still, 1.3 kilometers, 1.3 degrees is not all that bad. We can work with that, certainly. So, we can also definitely work with this. Oh, what? I thought that was less than 1,000 kilometers just a second ago. There we go, 11 kilometers. That's more like it. So let's do that rendezvous. We should be able to do that rather quick. So we are all lined up with the maneuver node markers so that we can do the burn. Here we go. I like that way of cutting the scenes where I just talk over the change, and it's a little bit challenging because I have to remember the sentence that I left off with, but with time warps like this that last like less than a minute, I can usually do it. Let me know what you think about that. It makes editing hugely easy for me because I don't have to actually go into the video editor and splice things together. I just, as I said, I have to remember what I said. There we go. Let's look at that. That's 15 kilometers. That's perfectly fine. That means we can basically just time warp until we get close to the target, which is right over there. Look at that, magic. And now I'm just basically going to perform the rendezvous. This tug has less of a maneuvering range than I would have expected. Maybe the ship is larger than I thought. It has some fuel, it has some science base, it has air intakes. I still don't know why it has that. And of course the capsule with good old Jebediah in it and a little bit more fuel. So this contraption, this Angora Avenger, should have all the delta V it needs to. I think it was intended for Ike, so that should probably be able to achieve that. Let's spool time forwards and till we are at that promised 11 kilometers. Well, 12 is going to do it. There we go, zeroing out that velocity. And yeah, this engine does... Oh, because the fuel is running from the center one to the outer ones. Rookie mistake, I could have known that. That one is of course perfectly allowed to run out first. And had it been the other way, then this one would certainly have run out first. I think the big engine was needed because this was still partly responsible for the insertion burn into orbit. Otherwise it's a bit of a waste to lug that around. But either way, it seems to be exactly up to the job. We can use this remaining fuel to cross these 12 kilometers, which should pose no problem whatsoever. So let's go ahead and do that, and we can use a brisk, aggressive 50 meter per second intercept speed. I think that's well within our ability to control. Are there any more random things I can talk to you about while we do this? Nothing that comes to mind. I'm sure that there are many interesting things. There's one actually, but I'm going to save that for the end of the episode. It's really nice, and you will want to see that. At least I'm still cracking up about that every time. So stay tuned until the end, and if the forthcoming docking and rendezvous maneuver, well, rendezvous and docking in that order, is going to go smoothly, it won't be long at all. Maybe like a few minutes. So here we are loading that contraption now at 2.3 kilometers with the telltale hiccup in frame rate. Here we go. Slowing down to 35. I'm very happy time warp exists because I'm too impatient to even wait like 30 seconds, and that has caused me to, well, on occasion slam into things that I didn't quite mean to slam into, but well, that's the price you pay for godlike control over space and time. Yeah, or something. Right, so that's again zeroed. Maybe not the best thing I could have done, but hell, it is the easiest. And one of the reasons also that I did that inefficiency mistake last episode, it just didn't even cross my mind to think about the most efficient way to to do maneuvers, because basically delta V is very much in excess, in abundance. It is plentiful here in the Kerbin system, and that is one of the joys of the stock game, really. So you can just focus on building and launching your rockets, and of course, while the Delta V might be in abundance, it's still important not to crash into things, which we saw 2 episodes ago, where I expertly missed an asteroid by scant centimeters, and now I was worried that we might repeat that with the Duna vehicle, and I really shouldn't take those risks with our assembled mightiness of creativity. But I did it anyway. Yeah, and here we go, talking again while careening into the ship. So wow, this is looking like an actual spaceship, like all blocky and with stuff, and now we're going to add wings. So that's looking very good. And I'm going to operate on the assumption that at least the Angora Avenger should be able to connect to that science station under its own power. I wonder how we're going to optimally connect all these things. I mean, I could do it in this fashion, where we basically just put them end over end and then put the big drive stage in the rear. No dirty connotations there, promise. That's probably what I'm going to try first. Otherwise, depends a bit on the drive stage as well. If I remember correctly, the thing Art made has docking ports behind it as well, and then we could maybe push these two and tow the science lab, and that might be a little bit more stable, but we shall have to experiment with that. And seeing as though the Duna launch window is about 2 years from now, so that's a few more launches for sure, we could possibly take the whole ship on a trial run, if you will, to some other place. If we can, of course, refuel it, which, well, we can definitely refuel it, because we have the claw now. You can dock to anything with anything, which is, well, grabbing and clawing something is a little bit of a fancy way to say docking, but it's a little bit of it's no, docking is too fancy a word to call grabbing something with a claw. Grabbing something with a claw is definitely not a fancy way of docking. It's the complete opposite of that. Right. Okay, we can leave our tug. I hope this has some kind of control pod, because then we can do something with all the fuel in it, or at least ditch it. But for now, we're going to just ditch it. Ooh, this has a decoupler? That's dangerous! Why would I ever want to decouple that? Okay, not touching the staging anymore. Well, except to turn on the engines. Here we go. Separate from that, and now of course we want to target that and do the rest with RCS, and this should prove to be a nimble enough craft, I think. So and yes, this is looking good. We might have to rotate the target docking port. Are these lights facing forwards as well? They are not, so they are not quite illuminating our target docking port. No matter though, we're just going to get close, and then we're going to rotate the target docking port to match. And well, this is one of the few episodes where I'll show full docking, in part because I don't have anything else to show you this round, and well, because it's nice to see how that is done once in a while. That is of course completely assuming that it is going to be a textbook docking and that nothing catastrophic will happen in the next few seconds, which is possible because I'm accelerating now beyond what is necessary, because once again I'm being impatient. So this is not a very nice lineup, so what I do to fix that is I zero out the relative velocity, or well, almost, turn on SAS, switch to this, not this one, switch to this one, control it from the docking port here, turn around, target the docking port that it has to snap onto, rotate to match. Ooh, this is a little bit wobbly, so we rotate that with some care. And the care is just taking a little bit of extra time to make sure it's not too wobbly. Hit SAS stabilization, hit SAS stability for the stabilization system, switch back to the Angora Avenger, make sure we're controlling it from the docking port, realign with the target marker, lock on the stability system there and then punch it with the RCS until a brisk speed of 0.5 meters per second. Then use the translation keys to put the direction vector on the target, then use the attitude keys to make sure the nose is also pointing in that way, and then once you're almost there, reduce your speed to something like 0.3 meters per second to make sure that the magnets can take over when they get in range. And of course, once you're doing the controls, you disable the stability system because, well, you want to change your vector. Yes, this is not going so great. So when it's not going so great, you just point to the docking port and punch it again to 0.5 meters per second, and then you use your RCS to push into the docking port. So any... what the hell? Oh, I thought this was a separate spacecraft. There we go. All docked. Almost textbook, and I talked all the way through that. Wonderful, isn't it? This is starting to look like an awesome spaceship, by the way. Well done, guys. Let's see what happens if we do all the lights. So far we just have lights on the Avenger. Wonderful. This is the payload, and now all we need is a drive stage. And of course we are going to EVA Jebediah and put him in the lab so he can chill with whoever that cribble was that's already in there. So, behold the... I was almost gonna say behold the might of Stormwind, but that's from Hearthstone, another game. Behold the splendor of our assembled ship. So there we go, entering the science labs, throwing in a quick save and returning to the space center for now, awaiting wonderful extra parts to this spaceship. So now for the promised extra material of this episode, and after which I will not say goodbye because I will not in fact be playing the game. This is a clip I recorded elsewhere. So let me just say now, thanks for watching. I'm Lorenzo. Next episode will be along on Monday if all goes well, and then we will probably launch another part of the Duna mission, unless of course danger strikes in the form of an asteroid. So thanks for watching and see you next time. Now with that out of the way, we can move on to the special content. My girlfriend that I currently live with has a wonderful 3-year-old son, and he loves Kerbal Space Program. So I've been showing him how to get to the moon, how to crash on the sun, which is the second thing he wanted after going to the moon. And of course he gets to fly his own rocket. So what I have now is a clip that will show you what happens if you let a 3-year-old control the rocket as seen from the internal camera. Enjoy.
Nu!